Mexico, home of the ancient Mayans and Aztecs, Day of the Dead celebrations, and of course, tacos. Mexico is even recognized as one of the 6 cradles of human civilization because of its occupation of Mesoamerica. 126 million people live there as of 2020 and are generally referred to as Mexicans. But what if I told you that Mexico, the country, isn't actually Mexican? Welcome to Knowledge Bait. To explain how this happened, we need to go way back to the ancient Olmecs in 1500 BCE. This culture was the first complex civilization in the area and was the base of the Maya and later the Aztecs. After centuries of political discourse between many native cultures, the Mexica became dominant over the central Mexican region with Tenochtitlan as its base. Anyway, the Mexica, later referred to as the Aztecs, expanded their borders down to modern Guatemala, and with the Triple Alliance, they loosely united all the people within their lands. And I say loosely because the Aztec Empire wasn't really an empire. It barely kept its people united and only survived through a tributary system. But that's enough of the prehistory, let's get into the real stuff. So in 1519, everyone's favorite Hernan Cortes invaded the Aztecs and set up the Spanish colonial presence in Mesoamerica. His successful takeover of Tenochtitlan made the Aztec region New Spain for 300 years. Mexican New Spain played a vital role in the Spanish New World because of its tributary habits and already hierarchical society. Because of European-introduced disease and the settlement of Europeans and African slaves, the original indigenous population dwindled greatly. During this period, there were dozens of rebellions and revolts against Spanish rule, including one that lasted 40 years in modern North Mexico. With the invasion of Spain in 1808 by Napoleon and his Capybara army and the installation of Joseph Napoleon, who was a capybara himself, the Spanish elites in New Spain questioned the new monarchy. Later, the Spanish rebellion in New Spain created the Mexican Empire, declaring independence in 1821. Something to note is that the people that made the idea for this independence were Spanish, not indigenously Mexican. The only reason why it was called the Mexican Empire was because Cortes renamed Tenochtitlan Mexico City. Over the decades after, the Mexican Empire experienced horrible instability. Wars with Spain, indigenous people, Texas, France, Britain, and the US, coups by capybaras and iguanas, and a lot of other stuff. But now this leads us back to the original question. Why is Mexico not actually Mexican? The answer to that question is when the Mexican Empire came to be. As I said, Spanish elites, not Mexican ones, started the independence movement. When you really think about it, Mexico is Spanish. Their initial society and government reflected mainly American, aka British, and Spanish ways of life. When it comes to land borders, most of Mexico wasn't originally in the Aztec Empire. Only central Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula were. Baja California, Chihuahua, and the rest were incorporated into New Spain during the Conquistador era. Of course, nowadays, Mexico is becoming its own unique country with its own unique identity. There's a large push in the country to rename the country just Mexico instead of the current United Mexican States, which took after the United States of America during their revolution from the British in the 18th century. They're also getting a hold of their huge drug cartel problem, and they're recognized as an emerging power with a 4.8 GDP growth rate. Well, that's it for this video. I know this is something a little different than our normal comedy stories, but I wanted to try something new. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe since the majority of you guys aren't, and if you want to hear about how the dinosaurs did not go extinct by an asteroid, click the video on screen.